The time to act is now. And the only real insurance we have against uncertainty is self-sufficiency. Janai, food sovereignty. The time to plant seeds is now. When will you begin? It is mid-February, and across America, the first signs of spring are stirring beneath the soil. But this year, the urgency to plant, both literally and metaphorically, has never been greater. As global supply chains teeter, climate disruptions intensify, and economic instability looms, many voices are sounding the alarm that a potential famine could strike the nation in 2025. Whether this prediction fully manifests or not, one thing is certain: the industrial food system is fragile, and the only real insurance we have against uncertainty is self-sufficiency. Food sovereignty, the right of people to define their own food and agriculture systems, offers a powerful solution. It is more than just gardening or farming. It is a movement towards resilience, community empowerment, and the reclamation of ancestral wisdom. It is a return to the knowledge that food is sacred, that the land is alive, and that we have the power to provide for ourselves outside of corporate dependency. The time to act is now. The fragility of America's food system. Most Americans today rely entirely on a complex, globalized food system controlled by a handful of powerful corporations. Just 4 multinational agribusinesses, Bayer, Corteva, Syngenta, and BASF, control over 60% of the world's seed market. Industrial farming prioritizes monoculture cash crops like corn and soy, while fresh fruits and vegetables remain inaccessible or unaffordable for millions. Meanwhile, the effects of climate change are wreaking havoc on food production. In recent years, droughts, floods, wildfires, and erratic weather patterns have decimated crops across the country. California, a major agricultural hub, has suffered water shortages that threaten food supply chains nationwide. Rising fuel costs and geopolitical instability also contribute to soaring food prices and empty grocery store shelves. Despite the clear warning signs, the mainstream response has been woefully inadequate. Government subsidies continue to favor industrial agriculture over small-scale regenerative farming. Real estate speculation drives up land costs, making it harder for new farmers to acquire land. Meanwhile, marginalized communities, especially Black, Indigenous, and immigrant farmers, struggle to access the resources needed to reclaim their traditional agricultural practices. But we do not have to wait for the system to collapse before we act. We can take matters into our own hands now. Personal food sovereignty, where to start? Each of us can begin cultivating food sovereignty in our own lives, no matter where we live. Whether you have acres of land, a suburban backyard, or a small balcony, there are steps you can take to reclaim control over your food supply. 1. Start growing today. The most direct path to food sovereignty is growing your own food. Even if you have never gardened before, you can start small. Sprout microgreens on your kitchen counter for nutrient-dense greens in just a few weeks. Plant herbs like basil, cilantro, and rosemary in pots indoors or on a windowsill. Use vertical gardening techniques if space is limited. Hanging baskets, trellises, and stackable planters can maximize small areas. Convert lawns into food gardens. Grass does nothing for your survival, but a garden can feed you for years. 2. save seeds, and choose heirloom varieties. The corporate control of seeds is one of the biggest threats to food sovereignty. Many modern seeds are genetically modified or patented, meaning they cannot be saved and replanted. Heirloom and open pollinated seeds, on the other hand, allow you to cultivate food that can be passed down for generations. Organizations like Seed Savers and Navdanya provide heirloom seed resources. 3. Learn permaculture and regenerative practices. Rather than relying on synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, embrace methods that restore the land. Permaculture principles focus on working with nature rather than against it, incorporating techniques like companion planting, pairing plants that help each other grow. No-till farming to preserve soil structure, rainwater harvesting to conserve water. Educational resources such as the permaculture design courses offer valuable training for those looking to deepen their knowledge. 4. Reduce dependence on grocery stores. The less you rely on industrial food systems, the more resilient you become. Consider these alternatives. Join a local CSA, Community Supported Agriculture Program, to get fresh produce from nearby farms. Shop at farmers markets or co-ops rather than big box grocery stores. Learn food preservation techniques such as canning, fermenting, and dehydrating to extend the shelf life of homegrown or locally sourced foods. Collective food sovereignty, strength in community. While individual action is powerful, true food sovereignty must be built collectively. Throughout history, communities have survived hardships by working together, pooling resources, and supporting one another. We must return to this mindset if we are to thrive in uncertain times. 1. Establish community gardens. Urban food deserts, areas with little to no access to fresh produce, are a direct result of corporate-controlled food systems. Community gardens, like those promoted by the Edible Schoolyard Project and Grodat Youth Farm, empower neighborhoods to take control of their food supply. If your area lacks a community garden, consider starting one. Many cities offer grants and land use agreements to support urban agriculture initiatives. 2. Create local seed banks. Seed sovereignty is one of the most critical aspects of food security. Community seed banks ensure that rare and heirloom varieties are preserved. Partner with organizations like Native American Food Sovereignty Alliance or local permaculture groups to establish a seed-saving initiative in your area. 3. Support food policy reform. Industrial agriculture thrives because of policies that favor corporate interests over local farmers. We must demand better. Push for anti-monopoly regulations in the agricultural sector. Advocate for land access programs that help new farmers secure affordable farmland. Support farm-to-school initiatives that prioritize local organic food in public institutions. Movements like La Via Campesina and the Slow Food Movement are actively working to shift policy in favor of food sovereignty. Scaling nationwide, a vision for the future. If we take bold action now, we can transform America's food system into one that is decentralized, regenerative, and community-driven. Imagine a future where every neighborhood has food forests and communal gardens. Schools teach children how to grow, cook, and preserve their own food. Indigenous, Black, and immigrant farmers reclaim their agricultural traditions. Land is no longer hoarded for speculation, but shared for the benefit of all. This future is not a distant dream. It is something we can begin creating today. Every seed planted, every skill learned, and every connection forged moves us closer to food sovereignty. The final call to action: plant seeds, build resilience. The warnings about food shortages are not fear-mongering. They are a reality of our time. But rather than succumbing to panic, we can respond with wisdom and action. In the coming weeks, take at least one concrete step toward food sovereignty. Plant something, anything. Connect with local farmers and gardeners. Learn a new skill, whether it's composting, seed saving, or fermentation. Share your knowledge and food with others. The industrial food system wants us to feel powerless. It wants us to be disconnected. But we are not powerless. We are the creators of our own future. If we plant the right seeds today, we will reap a harvest of resilience, abundance, and freedom for generations to come. The time is now. Will you start planting? Thank you. I love you.